Hey guys, this is Alessandro. Welcome back to my channel. A couple of months ago, I was talking in one of my video how sometimes people who study animation, they're trying to learn animation and so on, right? They are doing a shot that is way above their skill, and obviously they struggle. The result is not good, and actually these things is it's basically what is gonna step you back from reaching a good reel to get a job, right? And today I want to dig a little bit more into this subject, the reason why this is happening. Probably you guys can resonate with that, and how to spot if you're in a situation like this, and probably what you can do to solve it. And third, you might have this situation not just if you're a student, but you could be a professional, someone already working, and sometimes you realize, you take some choice about your animation, and now you're struggling to complete it with a certain amount of quality, right? But let me step back as usual a few times. So as you guys know, I've been teaching animation for quite some times now, and one of the patterns that sometimes I see is that the students tend to do a couple of shots with me, and they become very confident because I help them to achieve a very good quality, right? I really push them really hard. I guide them step by step, and so what they see, even though it takes quite long, but they say at the end the final result is amazing. They always tell me, Alessandra, I've never done an animation so polished, that looks so good, with a good weight, good timing. And they tend to feel overconfident. They kind of ignore all the steps that we have to take to get there. They just see the final result, which is good, but sometimes it blinds them to see the truth, right? Because I always tell them, hey, if you have to now to do a new shot entirely by yourself without my support, you won't look as good, right? And sometimes they fail to realize that. But let's keep this aside for a moment. And so there is always this moment where we are going to start a new shot together, and I ask them to come up with idea, to look for reference. And once in a while it happens that they have this or a very good idea, or maybe they find a reference that he has a really lot of potential. It feels dynamic, he's not too cliche, he has a lot of weight, great poses, and they get super enthusiastic. Oh, Alessandro, I found this reference, it's a combat sequence, it's an action sequence, it looks amazing. Then I could see they immediately fall in love, right? And usually I also ask them, hey, when you look for reference or you give me idea, give me at least 10 idea, right? So at least we can brainstorm and discuss. But I can see even when they present it to me, they found this shot or this idea and they completely fall in love with that, right? There's nothing else I can say to they want to do this, right? Me, of course, I want to be supportive on their idea. Like I let them do, I let them move forward. But sometimes I'm trying to be very honest and say you need to be very careful, because this is, to me, it look like is a bit of a challenge compare where you are at the moment, all the things that we've been doing together. Like, no, Alessandro, don't worry, if I achieve the previous shot, I can definitely do this one. I know you will help me, correct me, stuff like that. And so this is like the origin, in my opinion, of all the problem, because they fell in love with this idea, with their shot, and no matter what you're gonna tell to them, they're not gonna listen, right? And this is a big problem, because even though when we start to work on this shot together, and I started pointing out problem, they don't see problems. Say, okay, Alessandro, I'm doing this that is not good, but Alessandro is helping me to improve it, right? But what they do not see, that after a few times that we've been studying together, or in general, because could be a new student, when you're facing a shot of a certain difficulties, you should not make certain mistakes, all right? And I give you some practical example. When you're doing the very first layout pass or the first blocking, and basically I can see that you don't even know how to place your feet properly, okay? When you place the feet with the foot rule and everything, you don't know how to animate them. If we go quickly to spline, there is a lot of gimbal lock issue. There is a spacing issue. Your character land it should maybe move forward, it can stop for a second and boom, speed up very quickly, and then kind of decelerate. And your graph editor, it's all like this, is all very dirty, right? And yes, I can help them to adjust those things, right? But the problem here, the issue that I have is that, and what I told them is like, hey, if you're making those mistakes, this is probably a too challenging shot for you. Because if you struggle to make spacing, if you struggle to even place the foot correctly, you don't understand where the weight is, where you're jumping left or right, you're not even able to make good poses. I'm still have to tell you hey, this pose is not good, let's improve it, let's adjust here the shoulder, everything feels disconnected. If you're still having those issues, you should not make a shot like this. A shot like this, a more advanced shot, should happen when you have already a good fundamental of body mechanics. And now you can only focus on pushing things, not to fix the basic, right? And again, I noticed that people said, oh, but the previous shot, it looks quite good. Yes, because I was helping you to get there step by step, right? But if you're moving forward and you're still repeating the same mistakes, is not a good indication. It means you'll probably choose a shot that is way too difficult. And I see this not just with my students, I see this where people are trying to learn animation, and you know, they upload online their shot, their progress, whatever, and they're doing an acting shot, guys. And first of all, I can see there is no emotion in the facial. The facial looks boring, not appealing. There is not enough interesting poses. Even when they move the arm, maybe they're only focused on the upper body because they think, oh, it's gonna be easier if I do an acting only moving the upper body. I don't have to do the body mechanic, weight shift, stuff like that. Nothing far from the truth, guys. Doesn't matter if you're doing only facial. Acting is way a lot more difficult than body mechanics, right? And when I see sometimes their shot, I can see maybe they raise the hand and like you could feel that the hands is in IK kind of floating like this. The shoulder is not connected properly. They do like this, they stop and they kind of raise it, or when they put it on the ground, it feels all floating, disconnected. So I could see severe problem, and again, it's an indication that they should not touch at all, acting, right? But it's the same with body mechanics. Sometimes I know they want to do a body mechanics where the character is running, jumping. First of all, I can see very clearly from the very first few seconds, there is not a single pose that looks very appealing, right? Second, again, as we talk about the spacing, it's all wrong. When the characters jump from one side to another, I can see that the weight is not where it's supposed to be, right? And again, that's a heavy indication that you don't know how the basic body mechanics, how the basic anatomy works, right? And now we come to the second issue that, yes, for example, I even see this with my students, right? So they submit maybe the first version of the shot, layout or blocking, whatever, and I ask them before the lesson, hey, say, how did it go? How you think you're doing? Oh, I think it's good, pretty well. Maybe there's a few things I need to fix towards the ending, but overall it's quite good. When I open the shot, it's like, well, this is not quite good. Look at here, your character is unbalanced. Look at here, this pose is not appealing. Look at here, the spacing, your character is almost freeze for 3 frames and then snap forward and then slow down again. If I look at the graph header, I open the graph header, looks all messy, right? And I'm like, now that you pointed out, Alessandro, now I can see. Boom, this is the second problem, guys. First of all, it's already the first problem that you make the mistake. Second, you can't even see the mistake. You can see that your feet are sliding, that you're not placing your feet correctly, that your pose doesn't look good, right? All those things. If you cannot even see those things, that's a second indication that you are doing something way too challenging for you. And this is something, right, that you can find out even if you don't have a mentor, right? If you put things online or whatever, and people, you start to receive comments from people who pointed out very basic stuff, right? And you're trying to do something more advanced. That's a very strong indication that you're doing something way out of your skill, and you should do something. Yeah, you need to step back. Basically, that's what it is. I know it's very difficult to find good material online, guys. To understand, to learn animation if you don't have a mentor, you didn't go to a private school or whatever. It is very, very challenging. But maybe what you can do, at least you can find someone to give you a consulting, not necessarily a long-term mentorship, because maybe guys, you would like to do it, but you cannot afford, right? This is life. But at least maybe you can have someone just for one consulting to take a look, 3 or 4 animations you've been doing, and he can tell you, hey, this is not working. It's obvious that you're trying to do something way too advanced. These are the problem. And maybe you can discuss with him some kind of assignment that you could do, for your level, right? Which I assume will be very, very junior. Well, not even junior because you're learning, right? But I also, as I was mentioning at the end of the video, that these things can happen even to professional people. You join a company, you're starting a new job. Obviously, you want to impress everybody. You want to prove yourself. You want to show to everybody, especially to your lead, your supervisor, director, that you're great, right? And sometimes that it happens is that you try too hard to impress people. Maybe you come up with an idea with something that is extremely advanced, and sometimes it's more advanced than what you should do, right? And in order to achieve good quality, because at the end, most of company, unless you're working for TV series, you need to achieve good quality. You're not capable of, right? And your lead, your supervisor start to give you notes over notes, and you start to get frustrated. You need to go back, you do reference, and basically, yeah, this is only gonna lead to frustration because you underestimate your skill. You didn't realize the stress of what can happen when you start into a new company. You don't know what kind of feedback you're gonna receive from your supervisor, director, and this actually could stab you in the back, these kind of things, because you're trying to do way too much. And actually, instead of looking good in the front of others, you could look back, because now it could look like that you don't know how to do your job, right? Maybe it's not true, it's just you try to do something way too challenging. And so sometimes the advice that I give is like, you have done this, you have this amazing idea, you have done this and this, but you overcomplicate things. You could have achieved the same idea if you remove this part. If you simplify this one into this one, you could have achieved exactly the same. You could have done it faster and better quality. And sometimes they realize, oh yes, well, I wanted to do this one because I wanted to impress, I wanted to make a really cool whatever. Yeah, but sometimes you need to think about efficiency and be a little bit more realistic to yourself. Unfortunately, the difficult part about this, and I can see over and over, and I had the same problem, guys, when I was studying at the beginning, is being self-awareness, right? Sometimes you have the best intention, and again, sometimes the problem is you are really in love with an idea you badly want to execute, and it blinds you to see the mistake, the problem that are there in front of you. So that's why I said it's so important to have an external person who can look with fresh eyes and can tell you. It needs to be brutally honest, by the way, because most people, I would say, they're really afraid to hurt people's feeling, right? For me, I don't care. I tell people, if you come with me, you have to be ready for my brutal, honest opinion. Okay, if you don't want that, go to someone else, right? But you need someone that is able to look at that and tell you, hey, this is not working. Try to do something way above your skill. You need to go back. Doesn't matter how hurtful it is. It's better to hear this sooner, so you can adjust the situation sooner, rather than keep going forward and keep producing work that is not good and never gonna get your job. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video as usual, and see you next time. Ciao.